So here's the other whole piece of sex that's less tangible and less, even more or less talked about. Anytime we have unmet expectations, there's a degree of trauma. Whether that's related to your birth, whether it's related to how your afternoon schedule went, whether it's related to a situation or communication or lack of between you and your husband. Again, it could be weeks and weeks and weeks, and a lot of people are talking about these things, but I think we as women in particular have a really hard time asking. We also have a very hard time receiving. Both of those are absolutely critical for a good sex life. Yeah, asking and receiving. So I guess to keep it brief, I would just encourage you to think about those two aspects of your life and how you communicate those things in lots of spaces, not just in the bedroom. And obviously, particularly for women, how it goes all day plays hugely into how we feel at night. I think paying attention to the time of day that you like sex is important. I would prefer to have sex in the morning. That's not always feasible. We briefly got into a great routine where we would put the kids to bed, go have sex, and then go on about our evening. Because otherwise, 10:30 rolls around, I'm like,
Yeah.
I already stayed up later than I meant to. What is going on right now? I was like, fine, but make it a quickie. Yeah, that's not awesome. You can do that every once in a while, but that's not awesome. So, and I'm sure Michelle and Patricia have seen this a ton, unmet expectations related to birth trauma. Emotionally, physically, mentally, there's all different kinds of traumas that happen to us, all different, whether it's a childhood thing, which can be more extensive because that leaves more lasting impacts on our neurological system and how we perceive the world. Dramatic things like rape, miscarriage, abortion, or even not necessarily considered as super traumatic, but equally so things that happen in birth. My births were, by all accounts on paper, textbook deliveries, but a lot of things kind of blindsided me with my son and my second, and that was traumatic for me. So I think when we look at those pieces and how it plays into how we feel about our bodies, body image, how we feel after baby, everything is different. Society talking to us about get your baby body back, and then saying, no girl, go for self-care. It's like, what? So I think you have to find a space that feels right for you, because again, we could talk about self-care for days, we could talk about worthiness for days. Listen to all things Brene Brown all the time. We'll just leave that part up to her. But those feelings of good enough and worthiness play hugely into the bedroom for women. And so, again, a lot of things psychologically are out of the scope of my practice, which is part of why I'm so excited. We have an EMDR therapist, did I tell you that? Joining us at my new space. I have a space somewhat similar, different practitioners, but just happening in the Northwest Valley soon. And so, sometimes that counseling and those other pieces to deal with traumas are really critical. But all of us struggle with degrees of good enough. All of us struggle with degrees of worthiness, and obviously ties right back into